Developed by Larian Studios, Divinity II: The Dragon Knight Saga is an action-adventure RPG for the PC and Xbox 360. It is a 2-game pack which includes a fully remastered edition of Divinity II: Ego Draconis and its expansion Flames of Vengeance, the story of a dragon slayer gone Dragon Knight as he journeys through the world of Rivellon to take down the evil entity cleverly named Damien and destroy the greater evil which lurks above the land. Divinity II is a sequel to the 2002 PC exclusive game Divine Divinity. I would like to start out this by saying that my first encounter with this title wasn't a 5-star experience. After the release of Divinity II: Ego Draconis, I had the displeasure of watching a friend of mine play through most of the title. To save your ears from a bit of ranting that might ensue on the poor quality of the game, I would just like to mention that I wasn't at all surprised to see the appalling score it received on IGN. Having said this, Divinity II: The Dragon Knight Saga then took the opportunity to surprise me. It sat me down and told me, if you can get over the atrociously choppy animations, we will show you some good stuff. It wasn't the fact that the game didn't look good, it had absolutely astounding graphic presentation down to the last minute detail. It was the fact that the animation presentation ruined it, mostly during combat and an issue where your character is running but not moving forward. But I digress. Good stuff was then indeed witnessed as I delved into the game for the first time, as the player not the spectator, and began my career as a newly appointed Dragon Slayer and was able to witness the improvements over the original. In the world of Rivellon, there are individuals with the ability to slay dragons, and they make this their profession. They can see ghosts, read people's minds, and, well, slay dragons. Without giving away too many details, however, your position within Dragon Slayers Incorporated might be subject to termination in the near future. What I would really like to get into, though, is the feature that makes this game gain a few extra brownie points: the meat and bones of the title, the creamy-filled center, the caramel-lined interior, the tiny plastic toy in a cereal box, the questing system. Avid RPG players are surely familiar with the typical questing options available within this game genre, RPGs. Specifically that there is a good way to complete a quest, an evil way to complete a quest, and if the developer is feeling somewhat generous, a neutral way to complete the quest. Divinity II skips this concept completely and allows players to complete quests in a number of ways that have no bearing on morality and can affect the inhabitants of the world in different ways. This is sure to generate a considerable amount of replay value. The downside of this concept, however, is that it is also slightly underused, as a large majority of quests aren't as adverse. To properly describe how fantastic this system is when it's implemented, I will mention that one quest in particular has 7 different ways in which you can complete it. But of course, the questing system can't hold a game up on its own, can it? To this effect, we move on to the combat system. To some extent, you could say that this game has a classless system, if you ignore the fact that your passive and combat skills are listed under categories which are sorted by class. The game gives you the freedom to pick which spells and abilities you would like to use, with the only stipulation being your overall character level. So whether you would like to be a proficient two-handed sword wielder who can shoot fireballs, or a necromancer with a bow and arrow, it gives you these options to create a custom-fitted combat setup tailored to your individual playing style. The one complaint I have with this area of the game, however, as mentioned before, are the choppy animations. Although if you don't mind floating damage numbers that don't float smoothly and a clean enemy death, it may not bother you. Granted, the issue is very minor, but I like to nitpick, as well as the fact that these issues could be caused by my computer. The next area would be reserved to discuss the wonderful customization options for your character: eye color, hair type, hair color, body size, shoulder length, height, penis curvature, toenail length. Sadly, however, this is another weak point of the game. The customization options are strictly limited to the point where you can only choose between male or female and 3 different options: facial features, hairstyle, and character's voice. All these features have very limited options, so it can only be assumed that laziness or lack of creativity has some sort of bearing on this department. This leaves me with one last area I would like to give a bit of detail on, and that area is the treasure and exploration system. This aspect of the game is another one of its strong points. Instead of items only being located in chests or on bodies, though there is surely no lack of those, they have also taken the liberty of planting a majority of these items in open locations, sometimes areas you wouldn't even think to look for items. It rewards the adventurers who are very keen on exploring and investigating all the tiny little nooks and crannies of the game world, as well as items that may have otherwise blend in with the surroundings. It gives more purpose to spending extra game time looking around when you may otherwise find areas void of earthly valuables. Overall, this game is very deserving of a 9.5 out of 10 rating, but due to the text being unreadable on lower resolution settings on computers, I feel compelled to bump it down to 8.9. I consider this game to be somewhat of a buried treasure. It didn't get the media hype that I feel it deserved, and many may not even know of its existence. For those readers that find a sudden interest in it, you can find a demo listed on the Steam client store.